Chapter 19. Grayle. I had plans for my final night with my friends, which involved party games and treasure hunts, but my chef was going home with his husband, and everything was cut short when I spied Caden and Zack carrying their bags down the stairs. Caden was more than just a friend I'd just met. There was something about him that was honest and pure, not in the sense that he'd never had a man inside him, but I felt that what he'd said to me about how much he liked, no, he didn't say liked. He said that he loved me. I knew that feeling too from the time I saw his cute face. His light natural color, spiked strawberry blonde hair, bluish-green eyes had me hard for days, I was ashamed to admit. I thought you would love game night. We were going to play 2 truths and a lie, Cole said and smiled. I want to stay, Zack said when we stood at the foot of the stairs with Grayle reaching for my backpack. I elbowed Zack in the side. That sounds fun, Zack continued. If you think that's fun, we have the naked twister if you're into that kind of thing. That's for our more daring guests. We all know each other, and I'm sure someone falls into that category. Am I right, Zack? Can't you talk your boyfriend into staying? Cole continued, aiming that at Caden. I knew Zack was a fake boyfriend early on when he confessed, yet Caden didn't know I was onto him, and I didn't want to spoil anything. I knew why he'd brought him here. It had to do with Austin, and he didn't want to be alone. It had been hard on Caden, knowing that Austin was here and sleeping with me after what had happened between us in the workers' shack. I was sure that was why he'd made the decision to leave early. However, he didn't know that nothing was going on between me and Austin behind those doors. We hadn't had sex in months. We could have been like brothers sleeping in the same bed, but instead we were much worse. We were now friends with benefits, and the only one it benefited must have been Austin, because I wasn't getting a damn thing out of this relationship, if you took out that he'd been showing up lately, but for what? To make sure that I didn't find someone, and especially to keep Caden from securing a position in my life, my heart. Well, Austin is too late. He'd been successful before this. The door opened to my bedroom, and Austin sauntered out, raking his fingers through his messy hair. Zack's eyes followed close and he turned to smile at him. What's this about? Why are you leaving so soon, Caden and Zack? Austin questioned. It's not me who wants out of here, it's him. Zack pointed to Caden, who reached for his backpack I held, hoping I could convince Caden to stay. Caden turned to Zack and Austin and said, I have this business I'm starting. It's a coffee and tea shop, and I discovered that I have distributors coming early tomorrow morning. I didn't know anyone who worked on a Sunday that lived in Nevermore. I could have been wrong. Caden reached inside a pocket of his shirt, his sexy self-conscious clear eyes met mine, and then he lowered them when he handed me his business card. That wasn't like him. He was brash and outspoken before. Something must have caused a change in him. I hoped it didn't have anything to do with the other night we spent together, but I was sure it was. I looked down at the card. A coffee shop, that's wonderful. You're really going to do it. A lot of times young guys come in with contracts for me to draw up, business cards, mission statements, and never follow through on it, I said, meeting Caden's eyes and aiming a wide smile at him. And you sell tea there too? That's great. Caden appeared to appreciate my interest, and he offered me a sexy grin. Now that was the young man I knew. I told Caden something he didn't know about me. I've wanted to start a business for years, but had been discouraged, because I was told there were too many coffee shops in Manhattan, and I couldn't compete, and I'd lose money. There are things more important than making money. What is more important? Zack asked. Only if you've got plenty. I didn't waste my time telling him. He was as old as I was, and if he didn't know by now he never would. I'm home now, and when I left there may have been one mom-and-pop coffee shop, and I think there was one Starbucks in the area, and now there will be another place to get coffee and tea. That's great. If Caden has to go, then let him leave by all means. Zack, you can stay, and Miles and I will see you back home, Austin said, looking at Zack. No. I brought him here, and I'll take him back. You know the saying, you go home with the date that brought you, or dance with the one who brought you. Caden conveniently quoted some BS he no doubt had heard someplace. His heart wasn't in it to leave, but he had a good excuse. He must have known why he thought he should leave me. I didn't know why he refused Austin, and didn't let Austin and Miles off. They were going that way anyway. Maybe he needed someone to talk to on the ride home. I was proud of him for being forward and not letting Zack steamroller him. Caden held his backpack with one hand and gathered a reluctant Zack with his other hand. Let's go, Zack. You can say your goodbyes another day. I have to get some rest for tomorrow. I have a big day. Zack waved as he was being ushered against his will into the car. I watched as he appeared to be arguing with Caden because he didn't want to leave, but eventually he tossed his bag into the Wrangler and they drove off. When Cole saw that Zack had left with Caden, I turned to look for him, and he disappeared too, but he wasn't about to leave. He had another Hitchcock movie he needed to torment me with. Austin and I stared at them driving away. He didn't have to do that. Who are you talking about? Caden, of course, Austin said. He didn't have to force Zack to leave when he didn't want to. We didn't really know Zack. Maybe he took him home because he knew something about him that he didn't want us to find out. Zack admitted that they had just met on a dating app. Sometimes you have to find out more about people, and Caden found out something about him. What is there to find out? He's not a criminal, or you could Google him and discover that in a hurry. Your little friend is astute enough to do that before he'd risk bringing him among his friends. I just think Caden is one of those guys who likes to take his ball and go home when he can't play any longer. I see him another way, I said in Caden's defense. You would. You just see that cute face and ass, and I can see you're looking for an argument. I'm not willing to encourage you with that. You know I don't like to argue. Maybe you should, then we can clear the air, Austin said. I have nothing more to say. We still have people here, and I'm not going to fuck up my evening and theirs by discussing a stranger who neither you nor I know well enough. When Austin turned and sauntered into the kitchen, Miles and his camera were entering the house from the patio. Do you always carry that? I asked, stopping him before he snapped another picture. Always. You never know what you'll see, and I want to remember every moment of my day. Well, someone was an eternal optimist. There were some things I didn't want to be reminded of in pictures. It was enough to think about where and who I was with, what I was doing when a particular song I loved was playing. It was enough that I had to be reminded that I wanted to be with Caden about now riding and laughing, instead of arguing with Austin about Zack. It was enough not having sex with a partner I thought I loved, and it was enough. I wanted to be in love, and I wasn't with Austin.